So today you are suggesting people look for places that they've never heard of. It kind of seems a little strange to me.
Yeah, I guess it is a bit of a weird travel advice, but I've really learned that this is a great way to explore the world.
This is today on Dream Travel Share Unpacked.
If you'd like to receive an email version of today's show, along with our weekly travel opportunities, click on the link below to join our mailing list. We promise to only send you one email a week every Friday. You can unsubscribe at any time, and we won't share your email address with anyone else.
So why should people be looking for a more obscure place to go?
Probably the most obvious answer to that question would be is that it's going to be less crowded and more authentic. So, um, again, if you go to France, for example, so if you've never been to France, sure, you got to go to Paris because it's Paris, right? You got to go to the Eiffel Tower, you got to go to the Louvre, you got to, go to the Palace of Versailles, you got to do all that stuff. Lots of people that have been there once don't necessarily need to do those things again, and they will tell you that the small towns in France are actually somewhat more interesting. Same would apply to, say, Italy and Rome. Well, you kind of got to go to Rome, but there might be some smaller towns in Rome that you may find more interesting. And there certainly aren't as many people as these big cities that we're talking about.
So can you do this on a cruise ship, or do you have to fly into a tiny airport and then take some kind of bus to get to these obscure places?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that's certainly one way is to, you know, get on a small regional airplane and take a bus for 4 hours. That's certainly one way to do it. You can do this on a cruise ship. You just have to be a bit selective about your itinerary. So the ones I look for are the ones, the cruises that have what I would call marquee ports. So these are, and I would refine that a little bit by saying ones with big airports. So, again, we were just talking about Italy. So fly into Rome and fly home from Barcelona. They both have airports that are really well served. But if you don't know all the port stops in between, that would be, in my mind, a great itinerary. So if you're looking at this saying, okay, well, I certainly have heard of Rome and Barcelona, and I know they have good airports, but I've never heard of any of these 6 or 7 places in between. That to me sounds like a really cool itinerary.
I actually have a unique itinerary coming up that because I'm going sort of back to back cruises, and I am in Barcelona, and I decided that I needed to find a cool little city in between Barcelona and Arles, where I'm going to get on my next cruise,
Right.
and this is just all next month too. And I found a city in France called Carsicon. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not, but this is a beautiful walled city, and I cannot wait. And I'm staying at the one hotel that's there. We're there for a full day, but because it's just a unique stop, right? And I'm really very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's just a great example. It's just a place that you
Yep.
kind of found, and I've not heard of it, so I can't make any comment on whether you're saying it right or not. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's a great way to go. And again, if we're looking specifically at cruises, because again, that itinerary I mentioned, Rome to Barcelona, I mean, quite often the port stops there you've heard of. You go to Naples, you go to Pisa, Monte Carlo, maybe Marseille, right? And there's nothing wrong with those places, but if you're looking to do something off the beaten track, it's way more fun to go to places you've maybe never heard of, or if you've done the itinerary before. Again, because that Rome Barcelona sort of corridor is quite well frequented by ships, so maybe you've done that before, and this is a way to see the same region, which has lots to offer, but with different ports.
Are there certain cruise lines that stand out for this kind of travel to obscure smaller places?
Yeah, I think Oceania does it particularly well. I think Windstar ends up doing a lot of these things particularly well. And we were thinking about the Mediterranean, and the reason I'm focusing on the Mediterranean is because it's such a big cruise market, and many of us have been on several different cruises there. So when I see a port that I haven't heard of before, that sort of intrigues me. Explorer Journeys does it well
Mm-hmm.
in terms of bookend ports with a bunch of stuff you've never heard of in between. Um, Even in places like Alaska. So just about every Alaskan cruise runs either Seattle round trip, Vancouver round trip, or Vancouver to Anchorage. And HX, we featured them a month ago.
Mhm.
They run a cruise from Vancouver to Anchorage. Again, two big airports, right? Vancouver and Anchorage both have well-served airports. And then, like, I've been to Anchorage, I'm sorry, I've been to Alaska, probably 10 times. And I don't know some of these places that HX is stopping, and I find that really exciting.
The rivers, perhaps the river lines, are there, where are they going that are unique?
Yeah, I think with the rivers it's a bit different because you're on a river, so a river runs in one direction, and so you're stopping in the places on those rivers. So consequently, on the Rhine or the Danube or the rivers in France, the river cruises more or less make the same port stop. So there's two things you can do if you want to mix it up. One is look for excursions that are not offered on the other cruise lines. So again, if you've already done a river, you might want to take a real serious look at a cruise line that you're still going to Cologne or you're still going to Strasbourg or one of these places, but they're going to give you something different to do there. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look, if we're looking at the river, is look for places where other river lines don't go. So for example, AMA Waterways operates in Colombia on the Magdalena River, and Uniworld operates in the Venetian Lagoon. They used to go up the Po River. The Po River's hard to traverse now, but nevertheless, you can do a river cruise in northern Italy with Uniworld. Uniworld also does an itinerary on the Ganges River in India. AMA again does a river cruise in southern Africa on the Chobe River. So these are places if you're more of a river cruise person, go to where the other river lines don't go.
What sort of destinations are we looking at? Close to home?
Yeah, well, close to home, I was thinking about these ones just because people have never heard of them. So one that comes to mind is Lanceau Meadows, and I'm saying that wrong because it's a French word, but it's in Newfoundland, and this is where you're probably aware, Kim, that Columbus was a bit of a fraud, right? So the Vikings beat Columbus to the New World, to North America, by 500 years. And so the evidence of this is at a national park in Newfoundland. You can go there. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's fascinating. Another place in that same sort of region, mouth of the St. Lawrence River, is Saint-Pierre-Miquelon, which is France. It's part of France. Like if you go there, you have to show so again, it's off the coast of Newfoundland. But if you go to Saint-Pierre-Miquelon, you have to show your passport to get in, and they will use euros. And they'll speak French to you in a very different dialect than they speak in the French part of Canada. So, and these are ones, again, these are places most people have never heard of, and they're fairly close. Another one looking the other way that I find fascinating is Tikal. So Tikal is in, say, 1200 years ago, was the largest civilization on the planet. The Europe was in the Dark Ages then. It's in Guatemala. Nobody's ever heard of it. Fantastic place.
Wow.
At 100,000 people, 800 AD, they had 100,000 people. It was the largest city on the planet. Nobody's heard of it. And these are places that you can go. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great. More adding to my bucket list. Man, oh man. What are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week is going to be a vendor feature on Oceania. We do one of these a year with them, and we'll be running a private sale with them in the month of June. So we'll have more details about that next week.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Look forward to it.
We'll see you then.
Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this video blog, it really helps us when you like, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so that we know the best content to produce for you. If you want to book a cruise or package land vacation, then we'd love to help you out. We know the products and destinations very well, and we can always get you something not available on direct bookings. Our coordinates are in the notes below. Also, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, you get one email a week every Friday with some commentary and some different deals that we're seeing in the marketplace. We don't share your information with anyone else, and if you decide it's not for you, then we're sorry to see you go, but there's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of every email. See you next time.